Good afternoon. Thank you for coming today. I'm here to share outcomes of the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office traffic deployment that occurred this past weekend, the Grom Day deployment. This was a responsive deployment prepared by JSO leadership and executed by officers from units across the agency. Grom Day events are social media planned assemblies of small motorbike riders that do road takeovers and everything else you can imagine. During these Grom Day events, stunt riders descend on selected locations with the express purpose of engaging in criminally reckless driving behavior. This weekend, these stunt riders filled streets of Jacksonville, blatantly ignored traffic laws, and put our community's drivers in danger. Apart from violent crime, the single issue for which community members have continually, and I say continually, voiced their concerns about, in the event someone thinks this is not a serious issue, is these kind of issues: street racing, motorcycle racing, just traffic issues all around. It doesn't matter where I am. I could be running an errand. I could be in a restaurant. Somebody will come up and say, "Sheriff, you got to do something about these speeders. You got to do something about these motorcycles. You got to do something about these street racers." So we're working on it. And our community members' concern about roadway safety is justified. Traffic fatalities are a serious public issue and frequently eclipse our homicide totals. In 2022, there were 172 fatal events on our roadways, 39 of which were motorcycle accidents, causing fatalities. Since the beginning of this year, we've had 52 traffic fatalities, and 8 of them have involved motorcycles. I want to frame for you guys today personally how I got involved in this whole thing. I was headed back to town from Jacksonville Beach when I stopped at one of the intersections, and a group of motorcycles, about 12 of them, decided they didn't want to wait. They felt like they deserved to be in the front of the line, so they drove through all the vehicles, spread out across the front of the intersection, and then intentionally began folding their tags up, and whether they were paper tags or metal tags, hiding them so that it can't be detected. No one could call and tell us what it was they were doing. When they saw me there, I turned on my blue lights and was going to go around and try to stop them. When they saw me there, they intentionally looked back, took off, and they fled. I followed as closely as I could. They were popping wheelies, weaving in and out of traffic, just doing everything that they should not be doing on our roadways. At that moment, the undersheriff was sitting right next to me in the passenger seat. He grabbed a hold of the police radio. He started calling in and asked for an air unit to come and assist us. The air unit arrived, maintained a visual, and started calling out locations so that the units in the area could be in the locations where they see those guys heading. The goal, to just conduct traffic stops, to stop them, cite them, and arrest them if they fled from us. So the air unit tracked those motorbikes for several hours, observing them engage in, like I said before, all sorts of dangerous driving habits and patterns, routinely running red lights, cutting off oncoming traffic, speeding, generally flagrantly ignoring traffic laws. At 11 o'clock that night, I received another complaint about the same thing in our Oldfield Crossing area of our town, which is in the Mandarin area. They took over down there. They are in parking lots, they're on the roadways, they're doing wheelies, whatever you can imagine, they're just doing it. And over the weekend, JSO received 80 calls for service from concerned citizens reporting this type of behavior. We get this stuff all the time. And listen, I want to say this. There are people in this city that get on social media who you would think are responsible people, and they try to diminish the fact that this is the dangerous thing and threaten lawsuits or whatever you want to imagine over social media. Well, we're going to do our job because this is our responsibility. Traffic enforcement is a part of our responsibility, so we're going to continue to do that. So let's look at the Instagram. That was what we found out. We found out about that Instagram post. So our agency took decisive action, created a tactical operation plan. That was the Grom Day deployment. Throughout the day, Saturday, the deployment drew officers assigned to a variety of units: our air unit, our traffic, patrol, community problem response, bike unit, and DUI units. So there was 18 arrests. 18 individuals were arrested Friday and Saturday. Only 2 of these individuals live in Jacksonville. The vast majority of those individuals were arrested. They traveled from states including North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey. And they were arrested for a variety of charges. The most dangerous one was aggravated assault on a law enforcement officer, fleeing and attempting to elude a law enforcement officer, reckless driving, racing on the highway. Officers issued over 72 citations. During that deployment, 7 motorcycles were seized. I want to give members of the public the visual sense of what these Grom riders do and were doing on our roadways this past weekend. Our real-time crime cameras across the city captured some of these riders on Friday and Saturday on Jacksonville's roadways. We put together a short video presentation that includes clips from this camera footage. They're headed, looks like this is Phillips Highway. Look, now watch, you'll see them doing wheelies. They're doing wheelies in all the lanes. They're not obeying any lanes. You'll see a four-wheeler come through here that is not street legal. More wheelies, just going through the red lights. You know, I guess they figure they don't have to stop. But this has been happening for a while. I've actually been caught up in one of these when I was not sheriffing. And you can't, there's very little you can do about it. This is another one. Watch them, they're gonna stop a car running a red light. They're stopping this car so that they can all run the red light and get across. Another one, stopping, someone's gonna run across the road, red light, he's gonna wave everyone through as he watches. Same intersection, just a different angle. Watch the one that just pulled ahead. He pulls ahead. Another one's gonna decide, I think I wanna get up on the sidewalk for a second and see what that's like. Let me get down now as they continue through the red light. Wheelies, more wheelies. Same intersection, just a different view. So this is not just a out-of-town problem either. There are these groups that are Jacksonville-based that do the same thing. A few days ago, as I was heading down the Hart Bridge, about 4:30 in the afternoon, there was a group of them heading up the Hart Bridge on one wheel. Again, more wheelies. Some may ask, why are we concerned about it? Well, it's all illegal. You're not supposed to do this. If you're going to operate a motorcycle on our roadways, you have to obey traffic laws. And we're fortunate enough that we didn't have any fatalities over the weekend. Immediately upon learning of the Grom Day on Friday, we pulled our intelligence together, resources, and developed a plan to protect Jacksonville citizens on our roadways. The men and women of this agency executed on that plan during this deployment, taking motorbike riders who were more concerned with stunting for their buddies than the roadway safety of our citizens. We're not going to allow joy riders. We're not going to allow wheelie riders. When we catch them, we're going to do something about it. We're not going to allow them to descend on this city and cause unsafe driving conditions. We're always going to do our jobs and protect the people of this city. If that means that I personally conduct traffic stops, when I see drivers violating the law, I'll do just that. Roadway safety is a top priority for us in this administration, and JSO will continue to conduct responsive deployments to protect Jacksonville citizens on our roadways. And I just thank you for coming out. I think it's good. I wanted you all to be able to see this because, like I said, a lot of folks want to minimize it. You don't minimize it. If you've never been to a traffic fatality, it's a horrible scene, and we don't want that happening in our city. So I'll answer any questions if I can.
Sheriff, we've got the videos here. You've got the mug shots. How many do you estimate are in total out there?
On this day, during this event?
Yeah.
A couple thousand. They were all over the place. They were everywhere. So we did everything that we could to catch as many as we could.
We also have video from a viewer, I believe it's at St. Augustine Road and Emerson Street, of a chase, and you can see the air unit there, and you can see lots of patrol officers behind them. Tell me about what goes on with the decision about chasing somebody.
So it depends on, so a chase identifies the emergency equipment has to be working, and you have to be following at pretty much unsafe speeds. So we're going to go through all that and make sure there was no policy violated. I know when we were talking about this, we were saying pretty often on the radio listen, we're going to follow, and we'll follow till you run out of gas. With our helicopters, we'll follow till you run out of gas, if that's the safest way that we can stop you. I've seen several of those videos also. Most did not have their lights on, but we're going to look through all of it to make sure that all the policy was followed. But we're also going to revisit some, we're going to look at this. You know, on the west side, I have family members on the west side, and they tell me about these guys that ride dirt bikes on the roadways. But they're not just riding dirt bikes, they're selling drugs, they carry guns. A lot of different things are happening across this city, so I think it's very important for us to take a real hard look at it and do something about it. Now, I'm not saying we're going to go full out chasing motorcycles and kill someone. We don't want to do that. But we have to figure out a way to address this issue because it's a real issue and our citizens are concerned about it.
You mentioned that there has been pushback on social media. I've seen some of that. People saying, it's just a hobby. We're just going out there having a good time. It's keeping us out of trouble. What is your response to those who say this is too harsh of a punishment for them?
It's not. If you decide that you want to violate traffic laws blatantly, and I mean an accidental running of a red light, I mean that happens. But if you look back at a police car and you intentionally run from that police car, it's no longer just good, wholesome fun. You're not staying out of trouble, you're creating trouble. And we're going to do something about it because it's not just good, wholesome fun. Like I said, 172 traffic fatalities. They often, I say frequently, but they often outnumber our homicides in this city. So we're losing 172 people, whether it be DUIs or reckless motorcycle riders or reckless driving. We have to address it. Can't let it stand.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you.